Hi, I am Devin, founder of Careerified. This month, of course, we are talking illegal interview questions. So let's start with what is an illegal interview question? Sounds pretty serious because it is. Under the Human Rights Code in Canada, you cannot be denied employment based on a number of parameters, right? You can't be denied employment for your sex, your gender identity or expression, your ethnicity, your religion, your skin color, even your geographic area where you live, okay? You can't be denied employment for any of those things. So, for that reason, it's illegal for employers to ask interview questions directly about those things when you go in for a job interview. There are exceptions. The big one is if somehow one of those parameters is completely relevant to the job. So, I'll give you a couple of examples. A really common one is summer student positions. Many companies, of course, receive funding from the federal government to hire students each year. And in doing so, those hirees have to meet certain parameters. The most common ones are between the ages of 16 and 30 and a returning student for the following fall semester. So in an interview, an employer in that situation can ask, are you between the ages of 16 and 30? Because if you're not and they hire you, they can't get funding to pay for the position. However, they cannot ask, how old are you? That's a different question, and that's the illegal part. The other example I can give you in this area is if the role involves working with, say, a particular marginalized community. So let's say you are applying to work with an organization that serves Indigenous youth. They can require you to be a member of an Indigenous community. They may even be able to get very specific about which communities. So if you are working with Métis youth, they may not need or want you to be Métis individuals. So that's something that can come up. And there are times too where it's really obvious. And the one I like to use here is they're probably not going to hire you to be a rabbi if you're not Jewish. So these are things that you want to keep in mind going in, but no matter what, they do have to be mindful about asking the question. Now, with an idea of what exactly an illegal interview question is, how do you handle it? Usually with this one, what I tell people is you want to think about what's the ickiness factor. And by that, I mean, how is the employer asking the question? So let me give you a couple of scenarios. One, let's say you are from, Australia. And whether you are here as an international student or maybe you've lived here for 15 years and you never lost your accent, something that you probably hear a lot is, wow, your accent is so cool. Where are you from? And I've definitely worked with people where they go into a job interview scenario and the employer does that. And it's not cool. They're not supposed to ask that. But there's clearly no malicious intent, right? They're honestly having this human reaction of, wow, you sound really cool. I'm curious about that. And actually I had a client once and she handled that question with very much grace. And she would say, actually, I live like 10 minutes down the road. So just kind of made a joke out of it, but also gave a subtle hint of, dude, you can't ask me that. Where it comes up as more not so cool, I had a client who was a woman going into interviews. And she said to me after, she said it kept coming up where they were trying to find out if I had kids or if I was going to have kids. So they would say something like, we have great extended benefits packages for families. Are you planning on having children sometime soon? Not cool. That's not okay. Right. And she kept going, they just really mattered to them and it kept coming up. And so she went, I don't think so. So how do you answer it when it comes up? Like I said, it's that ickiness factor. It's also your situation, right? They may ask all kinds of illegal questions, but if you're in a position where you really need a job and you're having trouble making ends meet, maybe you overlook it for the time being. You take the job that has the pay and you keep looking for something else. In the actual scenario, while it's illegal for them to ask the question, it's not illegal for you to answer the question. So if you don't really care all that much one way or the other, you can just go ahead and answer and it's not a big deal to you. If you're kind of getting the sense of like, I'm not really sure, that's where you can make that joke, getting clarification, or you can even directly ask like, I'm sorry, how is this relevant to the position? And that's based solely on your comfort level, or maybe you pull that joke of, actually, I live 10 minutes down the street. You can also flat out end the interview, right? You can say, I'm not comfortable answering that, and maybe that ends the interview on its own. Or you can do a very direct, you know what, I don't think this is the role for me. Thanks so much for your time. Have a great day. So whatever you choose to do, it really comes down to your comfort level and your situation. There's really no hard and fast rule. If you want to register a complaint afterwards, that's going to depend on the organization and what kind of accountability exists for them. So a really good example here, a lot of healthcare organizations of all different stripes have kind of governing bodies, right? You think of your college of physicians and surgeons, or you think of your, colleges for massage therapists or physiotherapists, that kind of thing. That may be the body that you report it to. It may be, if it's a larger organization, you go to human resources where you were dealing with somebody who's in a hiring manager role, but not necessarily HR trained. And maybe that you go to something more like a chamber of commerce or a Better Business Bureau to find out what your options are. And certainly, of course, you can always consult an employment lawyer if you want to know what to do next. But those are options that you may consider depending on what the situation is. So with all of this moving around happening, if you do have an interview coming up in the near future, I hope this is helpful information for you, and wishing you all the luck in the world. And maybe now you'll be a little bit more prepared just in case this stuff comes up. Thanks for watching.